was Abraham? Anyone know? Was he Jewish, Abraham?
No.
Wasn't. He was a forefather of the Jews, but he wasn't Jewish. Okay. What did Abraham do? What did Abraham do for the world?
He built his father's idols.
So, right, that's the story. But what did he do? I want to share with you how our world is so different because Abraham existed. Go ahead.
Monotheism.
Okay. Let's speak about what Sarah said and explain why what Abraham did changed reality. Now, do you know Jewish history? You don't need to. You don't need to know. All you need to know is this one thing. You have a question?
He started a covenant with God. He was the first person to create a relationship.
It is true. That's 100% true. He was that first person. Let me ask you, in the olden days, people worshipped many gods. Why? Why is it that in the olden days people worship many? There's an intellectual reason why. Ready, Josh? Why do people worship many gods? Because the world made no sense. When you looked around the world, you would see goodness and beauty and apples and tomatoes and rainbows and kittens and dogs, cute ones. You would see delicious food. And you said, who made all this? And what did people say? It must be somebody who really cares and loves us. But 1 second, ancient man also looked around and they saw destruction and death and tsunamis and hurricanes and pestilence and plague. So you know what ancient man said? I don't understand the world. On one hand, whoever made this is good. On the other hand, whoever made this is bad. Because he does so many good things, but so many bad things. How do you explain a schizophrenic creator?
It must not be the same.
Oh, does it make sense? It's brilliant. Ancient man had the biggest question. If there's so much good and so much bad, it must not be the same being who does both. There must be good beings who give us rain, who give us, does that make sense? And then evil beings who give us plague and pestilence and death. So there are many, many gods. So we say the many God theory. Many gods. If there are many gods, here's question number 2. Where do they live? Where do gods live? Right. High above in the clouds. They live in God country. Anna, did you know there's God country? Do you know that God country has 7-Eleven? Because we all need Slurpees. Right? Do you know that gods could be jealous of each other? They could commit adultery. As a matter of fact, in ancient times, gods were us with superpowers. That's what a god was. Ancient man believed in many gods. They lived in God City, metropolis, and they did everything that we did, except for they were super beings. That's how ancient man explained the world. Does that make sense? It makes so much sense. It's not that ancient man was stupid. They came up with a good solution to a troubling question. Many, many powers, some good, some evil, must be many gods. And where do they live? In God City. They fight each other. They love each other. They team up. They make wars. Now, here's my question for you. If gods live in God City and they're just like us, then in that worldview, who are we? We're not gods. Who are we? What?
Lesser beings.
But we're God creations. But what kind of creations? We're like lesser being creations. We're like weasels with bigger brains. We are nothing. We are weasels with bigger brains. Compared to gods with superpowers, human beings are just sophisticated animals. And here's the issue. If we are you guys following me here? If we are just sophisticated animals, does it really make a difference if we kill each other? Does it really make a difference if we steal from each other? Anyone here when you were young ever see an anthill or create your own little ant city? A lot of ants scurrying about. Did you ever see? A lot of ants. So I used to have this weird question because I was a weird kid. So here was my question. I used to look at ants in front of my house. There's this big ant colony. And I used to wonder, is there one ant that's stronger than all the other ants? Like an Arnold Schwarzenegger ant? What do you think? Is there an ant that's stronger than the other ants? There must be one ant that's stronger. Right? He's like super strong. He works out in the gym every day. He eats power bars. Super ant. And then, as a little kid, with a lot of glee in my face, a lot of joy, I would go and step on them. And I would say, well, Schwarzenegger ant, you may be strong amongst the ants, but compared to me, my 6-year-old self, you're nothing. Right? To me, a Schwarzenegger ant and a regular ant are the same thing. That is what the ancient world looked like. If there are many gods, then we are ants. And what we do doesn't matter. Think about this. Anyone here ever see the Spider-Man movie? Spider-Man, anyone? Tobey Maguire, right? Spider-Man? My friend named Barry Weiss won the Academy Award for special effects on Spider-Man 2. And we did an event in his house right before the Oscars, and he had us pray for him that he should win, and he won because of his skill, not because of our prayer. So, if you've ever seen a Superman or a Spider-Man movie, how does it end? Anyone can tell me the last 10 minutes? Last 10 minutes of every one of these movies. Very cliche. What happens? Last 10 minutes.
They set up for a sequel.
That's true. That's true. That's a good point. But what's the final confrontation? What does it look like?
He defeats the villain.
Right. There's like this.
He gets the girl.
And it gets the girl. There's this huge battle at the very end. Huge battle. Maybe it's on top of Metropolis. Maybe it's the Green Goblin against Spider-Man. I don't know. Right? That's who it is, right? And they're fighting each other. And watch what happens. First, every movie is the same way. Spider-Man's winning. Then he thinks he's winning. Then Green Goblin comes and Green Goblin punches him, destroys him until it looks like he's about to be defeated. And then usually some mortal comes and saves the day, that the Green Goblin didn't see. Spider-Man's gone, Superman's got kryptonite on him. His power's gone. Comes along a mortal and saves the day. Okay, that's how it works. Now, in that battle, in the skyscrapers of Metropolis, they're punching each other into these skyscrapers. And big chunks of those skyscrapers fall 80 stories down. And you know that they hit the ground because sometimes you'll hear the car alarm, right? In the movie, hear the car alarm. Here's the question. Did anyone ever get smushed by those chunks of building? Any little babies in baby carriages get smushed? Anyone? How is it possible that in every movie, nobody ever got smushed from the debris of the buildings that Spider-Man was fighting on? Max likes that question, right? Think about it. It's falling down. It should have squished a few people. And you know what the answer is? The answer is it actually could have squished a few people. But we don't care. We don't care. All we care about is Spider-Man. All we care about is that the hero should win. If a few people die underneath, all we care is about, because in a world of superheroes, mortals are expendable. Remember that scene? You remember that scene where Spider-Man, there's a train and it's about to go over a bridge and the bridge is broken and Spider-Man has to take his web and pull the train back from the brink of falling into the Hudson? Remember that? And you see his muscles are bulging. He's got his costume is being all torn up. And he's going like this. Who are you hoping for? Spider-Man or the people on the train? It's all about Spider-Man because in a place where there are many gods, people don't matter. My friends, this is why before monotheism, the world was so barbaric. Because in a world of many gods, our actions mean nothing. If there are many gods, then they are the reason of existence. They are the power. They are the key. And we are like cows and weasels and ants. We are not significant. Comes along Abraham and states the following. You are wrong. There's no God city. There's one God. He creates good and evil. And you, human beings, are the very purpose of creation. You are why creation is created. What Abraham actually did is he elevated mankind to being the purpose of creation. And by doing that, all of a sudden our actions take on new meaning. And what we do is significant. And what we say is important. And even what we think in our minds, even what we think, makes a difference. National Geographic magazine, about 25 years ago, their cover story read, "Who was Abraham of Ur, father of many nations?" Because Christians, they go back to Abraham. Muslims do, and so do Jews. Who was Abraham of Ur? And count on National Geographic to get it wrong, which they did. They speak about his geography and his travels. It's not about that. It's about the fact that he taught the world that mankind has significance, and what we do and say and think are important. That was the gift of Abraham. Even today, in African countries that believe in many gods, they are patently more barbaric. They are more bloodthirsty. Many gods, it means that we are not significant. We are sniveling weasels. We are sniveling beings. One God means we're the purpose of creation, and what we do and say and think make a difference. Did you guys follow that? It's huge. It's huge. It's big. That's what Abraham's all about. So, all that is what we call ethical monotheism, which is what Sarah pointed out right away. Ethical monotheism means that because there's one God, then everything that we do makes a difference. Okay, any questions about anything?